Hi guys! As you can see, we are not in the creative corner today, but this is a Stitches and Stories. Alright, so we're going to talk about a winter book that I've recently read because I think this weather that's outside is perfect for it. It is horribly snowy and icy here, and we already have people questioning whether school will be canceled this week or not, and our local school actually is a late start tomorrow. But with school being canceled or not canceled and snow, there's always those people in the world that are like, oh, we should have had school, even if there was a storm, right? We have a lot where they'll cancel school because of the predicted snow, and then the snow doesn't come, and then people are mad because they should have had snow at school. But the thing is that it's Nebraska, and blizzards and stuff can happen at any moment. We're skipping a few book reviews because I want to talk about this one in particular. So we're going to talk about I Survived the Children's Blizzard of 1888. So a little history on this event before we get into this book is the Children's Blizzard is an actual event that took place in Midwest history in the US. And what happened is basically it had been a hard winter and then there was this nice day that showed up out of the blue and it was like 65 degrees. All right. And so all the kids, all the families were like, oh my God, thank goodness spring is almost here. And so all the kids went to school without coats because it was relatively nice out. And so they went to school and they were playing outside at recess, hanging out, and then suddenly a blizzard hit. And this wasn't just any blizzard, this was whiteout condition blizzard. This is during a time where they didn't have cars, they had wagons. So most of these kids were from farms instead of in town, and they had walked to school. Okay? Schoolhouses at this time were one room schoolhouses manned by a single teacher. That teacher in this situation was responsible for all of her kids' lives. Okay? So if you take modern school time and you look at our classroom size, classrooms here are relatively 15 to 20 kids. That's what's considered in ratio, okay? So if you have a single teacher in charge of 15 to 20 kids, this blizzard comes up. The schoolhouse does not have heating. The schoolhouse is heated by a stove. Okay, you're eventually going to run out of wood, right? Now, you could always burn the desks or something like that, but they don't know how long this blizzard's going to last. And school teachers at this time were pretty young. We're talking 16 years old, 25 years old. One of the stories that's told here all the time when they talk about the children's blizzard is a 16-year-old teacher who tied her students together using rope to escort them through the blizzard, okay? Some teachers didn't make it. Some teachers said, we have to get out of here. We have to go home. We have to take these kids. And so they tried to take their kids home together. And there is a horrible story of one that was literally only a couple miles from safety, and they all succumbed to hypothermia. All right? Some made it to safety. Others chose to keep their students in the schoolhouse. Some survived because they had the supplies they needed. Others did not because they ran out of fire for the wood, for the fireplace to keep it heated, or they ran out of food, okay? Man versus nature is one of my favorite themes in literature. And being from Nebraska, we still have this struggle every day. We like to think that we are very civilized and that we are very put together. But even though we have settled this land and the pioneers did come, Nebraska is still mainly rural communities, okay? So blizzards like this can literally pop up at any time. And so this story in particular, I have been fascinated with. I have been hyperfixating on the children's blizzard of 1888 and the Donner Party. Donner Party is not in Nebraska, but it's something I've recently learned about, and so I've been hyperfixating on it. So when I heard about this book, um, well, I knew about the series, the I Survived series, so I looked up to see what books were in it, and they had the children's blizzard. So I went on a quest to get this book. This book is $4.99 in Kindle, $5.99 in paperback, free at the library to check out, and apparently I got a free trial of Audible, so I got it in audiobook to read. It was literally an hour and a half long, okay? Really quick, really simple read. Now, the thing about this book is we know by the title that the main character survives. I survived the children's blizzard of 1888, and is told by the point of view of a young boy, okay? We know he lives. And putting death in literature, children's literature specifically, can be a controversial topic. Some people think that kids should not be exposed to that. Others say it's part of life because death doesn't discriminate, so they really should know, right? And it's all comes down to what the author thinks the point is and whether or not a death will matter. Now, that I bring up for a reason. I only have one criticism of this whole book, and it is that no one that the boy knew died. Everyone the boy knows survives. Everyone, okay? During this circumstance, that would be highly unlikely, all right? The author, who is Lauren Tarshis, Tarshis, obviously chose this for a reason because this is an elementary grade book. It is recommended for children ages 9 to 12, okay? So she obviously was like, okay, I'm not going to kill anyone because these are young children and it's told by the point of view of a child, all right? So we don't want to, this is already a hard topic to talk about anyway. We don't want to add on that. But there is one person in this book that I think should have died, okay? There's a scene where the schoolhouse that the boy is at is getting rescued by some local farmers. And considering it's Nebraska, this is super relatable. This still happens today, okay? A group of men decided that they would go to the school and help the school because the school is stuck. The teacher is a young teacher. She's 25 in here. All the kids think she's too old and should be married, but she's only 25, all right? That's, in our age, that means that she is like fresh out of college if it happened today, okay? So this is a young teacher in charge of these kids. And so a group of men from town are like, we have to go help the schoolhouse. They're going to be stuck there. All the kids are there. The teacher's there. We have to go get them. So a group of men from town gather 3 wagons. They leave town, they leave their families, and they go out to find this group of people. This is normal Midwestern behavior. The guys here are very protective of their communities, okay? And so they're going to go out of their way to do it. For instance, one time my sister, her car got stalled, and she and 2 other girls were trying to figure this out, could not figure it out. This old farmer comes riding down the street, pulls over, and says, here, let me help you. Couple flicks of his wrist and the thing works, okay? The guys here just go out of their way to help. And most of the time, this isn't like a big city, okay? So, like, if you were a woman in that situation in a big city, you might be reluctant to take help. Out here, oftentimes you just accept the help, especially if it's from someone over 40, because that's just what it is. I hate to say it, but part of Nebraska still very much follows the instincts of the original hunter-gatherer kind of thing. So, like, women, we have jobs, we do our thing, but the guys are super protective and are going to go out of their way to help a damsel in distress. Spook, I heard it too. The dogs are outside and something just fell off the roof. Obviously, it's not a dog, but I'm hoping they're okay. I don't hear any barking or anything. So we're going to assume they're fine until the end of this video. It's probably a giant icicle, to be fair. Or the dogs are hitting that wooden sign against the house over and over again, which also happens. So anyway, this is a normal event that occurs, right? These guys grab their 3 wagons, they go to help these kids. The teacher then has to decide which wagons these kids are going to go in. She naturally, and honestly, I think our teachers and stuff would probably still do this today, no matter what school you're at. She takes the youngest kids with her, all right? They're little ones. They're the ones that are going to need the most attention, need the most reassurance. So she takes the younger kids with her. She assigns an older girl who is responsible to watch the younger kids that she can't take with her. And she puts that older girl and the rest of the younger kids in the middle wagon, all right? With one of the guys that helps save them. The last wagon is the boys. The boys and the farmer leave last. They load up the wagon. They get ready to go. And the horse gets spooked. All right? The horse takes off. The guy falls off the wagon. The boys are hanging on for dear life. And they realize that they've got no choice but to jump. because this horse is running so wild, they don't even know if it's going in the right direction, all right? And they know that it's either get thrown off eventually or jump off. So the boys make a choice to jump off while they are oriented enough to know where they're at, which is a very good survival move considering that they could not see more than a couple inches in front of their face. It is said in the book that the teacher had to tie herself to something inside the schoolhouse when she left to look for our main character in the snow so that she could see her way back, because otherwise she would have never found the schoolhouse again, all right? So these are massive whiteout conditions. Now, the farmer fell off the wagon. He is not mentioned again until the end of the book. I think that farmer should have died. That is my personal opinion. I think he should have died, and it's my only criticism because A, he could have easily hit a rock. B, there could have been predators in the area. And C, it is mentioned before this that there is not much wood in the schoolhouse. Okay? Ultimately, he survives by burning the desks in the schoolhouse, and he says that, which is also a good survival move. But I think if the author had really wanted this story to make a huge impact, like a bigger impact than it already does, she should have killed that character. Just because that would have shown the real world repercussions of a heroic act gone wrong, okay? Now, the boys themselves, they have to go search for cover, and they're confused and disoriented, and they don't know where they're going. And so they use what they know about the land to find shelter. And they end up surviving because of a haystack. They end up huddling inside of a haystack because they remember a fox. That's important, okay? They remembered a fox burrowing into the hay to stay warm during the winter, and they remembered their dads commenting saying animals will use the haystacks to stay warm because the walls are so thick that it keeps the snow out. And so the boys, knowing this from nature, knowing this by watching the animals go inside a haystack to stay warm, every single one of them suffers some kind of frostbite. Okay? They don't have coats, so they're gonna have frostbite. They're gonna have something, but they escape with their life. All right? So if you're looking for a kind of thriller, nature versus man, survival story for your kids, this is a great one to go because it's based on history. It is historical fiction, of course. Um, this new reader journal I have asked me all sorts of questions, and so I'm looking at it because I'm trying to figure out what all I want to say. The storm in this book gave me anxiety. I said that. Yeah, we have a storm that was coming through, and so I've been off my pills for 2 days just because I just wanted to make sure that they spread out enough that if I can't make it to the um, pharmacy, then Monday or Tuesday, then I have enough. But so I was super anxious when reading this. They had rattlers. Before the blizzard hits, it's starting to turn winter, but nothing has happened yet. And they're discussing how it is hard enough on the prairie because you have tall grass and it's very easy to lose little kids in. The main character's scared because his little sister wanders off on their way to school into the tall grass. And he remembers hearing a story about a little boy that did that, and they did not find him for ages but until after he was dead because of the fact that the prairie grass naturally here is tall. And rattlesnakes, he said that the most chilling sound in the world was the rattle of a snake. And it's legit because those are still here. I have a friend who her son called her one night because his vehicle died and he didn't have lights and he was in the middle of a field and he could hear the rattlers. Okay? There's nothing worse than hearing a rattler and not knowing where it is. Because that venom acts so fast. You have like 15 minutes to get to a hospital before you're dead. And I don't even think there's an actual cure. I think they just have to suck the venom out. It's a very strong, very fast acting poison, and your skin can turn black and you can lose whole limbs because of it, okay? One of the sayings in this book, a quote that I really liked, one kid says that his dad said that since the birds went south early, it's gonna be a bad winter. That winter was gonna hit. If all the birds are gone, then winter's coming. And his friends go, well, maybe the birds are wrong. And he remarks, the birds are never wrong. Okay, growing up in Nebraska, one of the first things I was taught was to trust the cows over the meteorologist. Okay, your weatherman might say that there is sun coming, but if those cows are huddled together, then there ain't sun coming. All right, so you always, always, always refer to the natural environment here because the animals here know what's up and they are never, ever wrong. Be it a fox hiding in a haystack, birds flying south early, or the cows being huddled in the field. All right, they all know what's going on before us because we have natural instincts as humans. We do have natural instincts because at one point we lived in a different time and we had to have instincts to survive, right? Um, but because of the fact that we are so, I don't know, I don't want to say pampered, but we have built this awesome society where we have to worry about survival less, okay? Because we no longer live in caves, we have houses. We no longer have to look for firewood, we have indoor heating. We no longer have to worry about going outside to go to the bathroom, we have indoor plumbing. We don't have to hunt, we have grocery stores. We do hunt. But you see what I mean? We have more luxuries than they did back then. But we still had our instincts and we still have them. They're dull because of it, because we haven't been forced to really use them, but we do have them. And so in this book, I think the author did a really good job of showing um, instinct, human instinct, and how animal instinct comes into play in certain situations because the weather is not something you can fight with sword and shield or gun and pistol. I guess a pistol is a gun, but you get what I mean. You can't go up against the weather. The weather is a force in and of itself. It's a giant entity that we can't control and it can have massive impacts on us. And if you are in a situation like this where you have no coat, you're low on firewood, you can't see a foot in front of you, how are you going to survive? Okay? We don't have natural fur like animals. And so the boys defer to the instinct of the animals native to the land because those are the animals that know how to survive. They've been through this before. Those are the ones that are meant to live in this area. And so they have the instincts. For the boys that had immigrated here, and all of the boys in this book have immigrated to the prairie. Uh, two of them came from in states, like in the states, but one actually came from Sweden, which is I thought was pretty cool. There's a lot of Midwestern history in this book, guys, because the Midwest is settled by German and Swedish settlers. That's like our primary settlers here because during the Homestead Act, the immigrants came over. They needed a place to live. The government said, here, we'll give you this piece of land if you go live on it for 5 years, build a house and farm it. I mean, why would you say no? You're already starting over anyway. And so, I mean, there's a lot of that kind of history in here. I do need to read the rest of the series. I think this book was super good. It was super interesting. It took place in Dakota territory because at this time Dakota is not a state, it is still a territory, and they do mention remnants of the Native American tribes that live there. The boy himself says that he's never met the Sioux. All right. He says that he's never seen one at all, but he finds arrowheads all over, and he has this scene where he's wondering if a Sioux boy, had ever been in the same situation as him, because there were people that lived here, but a lot of the Native American tribes and stuff from the prairie would also immigrate according to seasons. They'd change their place according to season because it's just Midwest has some hostile weather, we'll put it that way. And so this book really focuses on what it means to be a pioneer, to persevere, how to survive in the elements. Man versus nature is the main theme. I would highly recommend this. The target audience is obviously kids, but I think anyone who likes survival stories would like this book. It teaches history in an entertaining way, and I do think the author did a great job of that. And so it was published in 2018, by the way. I gave this book 5 stars. There's this little pie chart thing that my little reading journal comes with, and it is split into 6 sections. So how we're doing our ratings this year is completely based on this chart. These 6 sections are then each split into 5 sections. So if we have writing, enjoyment, setting, readability, plot, and characters, all right? So plot might be a 1 star, while characters might be 3 stars, that kind of thing. So then what I do is I take all the stars, add them together, divide them by 6. That's our average. That's our rating. And that's how I'm doing it this year, because I know that I'm an overly nice reviewer, and I do know people who reach out to me because I'm a nice reviewer, and I'm going to try to, I'm going to stay nice, but I'm going to try to give more logical, more fair reviews, I guess, by using the system. So in this case, everything for me got 5 stars, which means this book is a pure 5 star streak right across. All right. And I don't know how to put it into the camera yet. So there you go. That's what we're looking at. All right. So it is a 5 star read. I did rate it on Goodreads if you want to go check it out on there. But my Goodreads reviews are going to be shorter than these reviews, because there's also a place in here that says a one-sentence book review, and I'm basically using that for my Goodreads book review. So I'd go pick up this book, and I want to pick up the Donner Party story, but it is not an I Survived book. It's an I Escaped book, which is by a different author, and I don't know if they're related, or I'm a little concerned, because if they're not related, what if it's like a ripoff of it? But then at the same time, if they focus on different historical events, then it's not really a ripoff. It's more like a continuation almost. But there are a lot of I Survived books, and my niece has already asked me if there's one about sharks and grizzlies, and there are, and so I'll probably read those. And then I found the I Escape books. So hopefully I'll get the Donner Party one read, because that is a whole nother crazy story that I did not know about, man. And it is, wow. So, if you're looking for a good survival story on this cold winter day here where everything is frozen and people are debating if school should be canceled or not, go pick up the Children's Blizzard and maybe do some research and watch some stuff on it, because even though we like to think that we are above basic survival stuff like this, above man versus nature stuff, we are not. And nature can still come out of the nowhere at any time and place, as we know from hurricanes and tornadoes and things like that. And so we need to respect nature, and we need to stand back sometimes and make a decision based on our own gut feeling and based on the world around us. Because, yeah, we might call for no snow and no school, and there might be no snow, but wouldn't you rather have no school and no snow than to be at school without coats and have a blizzard so bad that you can't even see to get to the school to get your kids safely? I mean, perspective, guys. So that's our book review for today. And I didn't tell you, but I'm working on a scarf that my niece apparently wants. I mean, she told me earlier that she wanted it, so she might get it. Otherwise, I haven't decided what I'm going to do with our projects for Stitches and Stories yet. I might donate them. I might just offer them to people. I also might just put them up and be like, hey, I finished this project, $10 if you want it, that kind of thing. Because we're going to be knitting and crocheting a lot. I did open my crochet kit the other day. I was fully prepared to start this kit. It was freezing cold. I had the heater on. I was tucked under a blanket. I was like, I don't have work for 2 days. I'm going to sit here and learn to crochet. And I opened the first page, and it said something about knitting a magic circle, and crocheting a magic circle and a W25 or something like that. And my head went, I don't want to learn a new language. And so I put it away. But it's got a QR code that will show me step by step in video, which is really what I need. I need to be able to see their hands instead of read the thing, because I'm a visual kind of learner. I love reading, okay? Don't get me wrong. History, facts, I love reading, but if I'm trying to learn a new craft, you got to show me step by step how to do this, because I will do it the same way you taught me every way from that way out. And so it has a tutorial for basic crochet stitches and for the animals in this thing, and I really want to do the elk, so we might start with the elk. Should probably start with the pufferfish, because I feel like a circle is probably easier than a body outline, but I mean, I'm learning anyway, so might as well. And so once I learn those, I'll keep those patterns and we'll do some more of those. And maybe we'll donate some of those to like the children, to the hospital for kids to use, or maybe we'll just sell them or something or give them away. We could probably do some giveaways on here. But that's where we are at, and I will be back another time with another book. This one was just long enough that I decided not to combine two books together. So I hope you guys have a great day, and if you are in this storm path that is covering Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and part in Iowa, please stay warm. Please cook warm food. Please remember to stay safe, and it's not worth the risk. Okay, guys, don't go outside on this stuff. I drove earlier and the roads weren't too bad here in town, but I could tell that if we get a freeze tonight and the snow and sleet that has been starting to go down freezes, then tomorrow might be rough. So I do think our school made the good decision to at least have a late start tomorrow, because you can always decide to cancel school after a late start if you need to, but it's hard to cancel school if you already have the kids in the building. I've been at a school once that did that, and they had to call parents, and there were parents who could not come and get their kids. And so I had worked at an after school program at that time. And so we were asked if we were in town to come in early and watch the kids at the school because of this. But so it's just easier all around for parents, teachers, everyone to just be like, we're going to have a 10 o'clock start and then see what's happening, instead of being like, hey, everyone come to school at 8 a.m. And then, 10 o'clock comes around, there's a giant blizzard, and you now have hundreds of kids to get home to their parents, and parents who are at work trying to drive safely across town to get these kids. And now they got to procure babysitters and everything too. And it's honestly, in our environment, it's better just to cancel and be safe. And our school system does do a very good job at that, and I am very thankful for them. And I wonder if part of it is from the children's blizzard, because a lot of schools don't have like legit, if the weather is exactly like this is when our canceled. I know our schools goes first by temperature. If it is too cold to literally be outside at all, then school is canceled. Okay. They also have this thing where parents can use discretion, and the day will not count against the students if the parents call in and say, hey, because of weather, I'm keeping my kid home. But most of the time, they defer to the superintendent on weather-related things, and the superintendent itself has to make the call so that the teachers don't have to. Because, I mean, imagine that. I can't imagine being in this situation. I teach 15 to 20 kids daily at an after school program, and I can't imagine having these 15 to 20 kids and you can't see outside, and you have to decide if you're taking these kids outside to try to get them to safety, or if you're going to keep them in the building where you're low on supply, you only have a limited number of supplies. It would be a hard decision. It's kind of like the school shooter situation, honestly. You're a teacher in a room with 15, 20 kids. You're responsible for those kids' lives. How are you going to keep them safe? Because in those situations, I can guarantee you the teacher is only thinking about those kids. And we do see that in the I Survive book. The kids mention how their teacher looks very calm and is calmly instructing them on what to do. But then when the men show up to help, they see her shoulders visibly relax, and they hear her let out a sigh when she doesn't think they're looking. Okay? Because a teacher has to remain calm and steady for these young kids, because the kids are scared enough, and if you get scared, they're going to get scared even more. And that's just the reality of being in education and working with young children. Even with high schoolers, you still have to do the same thing. And so, shout out to all of our school admins who take not just winter weather, but all weather very seriously and look out for our students and the teacher safety, because the system we're working with today, though flawed as it can be, is way better than what they were working with in 1888. And so I am thankful for administrators who are not afraid to face parents' wrath and be like, yeah, no, we're not having school today. I don't care if you think we should or not. This is what we need to do. All right, because that's a hard call to make, and I would not at all want to be responsible for that call.